Welcome back to our channel where we talk about Catherine, Princess of Wales and her royal family and share news and tales that haven't been shared before. We have some important news for you today. Princess Anne's shocking revelation over late Queen's final request left Camilla Charles in tears. After King Charles upgraded Camilla from the position of Camilla Queen Consort to that of Queen Camilla, an insider source indicated that the situation had worsened. This astonished everyone, and it caused Camilla and Charles to be in a state of disarray. Princess Anne took courageous action to fight against King Charles's choice, and she revealed a severe request of the late Queen's will on the last day, establishing trust in a quiet manner. During the latter days of Queen Elizabeth II's historic reign, when the whole world was preparing for the unavoidable one, Royal emerged not only as a stalwart custodian of tradition, but also as a visionary builder of the developing character of the monarchy. This royal was Princess Anne. She was the only daughter of the late Queen, and she took on tasks that were of great personal and constitutional importance. She was known for her unwavering commitment and her quiet perseverance. From her attendance at her mother's deathbed to her ability to orchestrate a goodbye that matched intimacy with national sadness, Princess Anne became the personification of the Queen's trust. This trust altered royal etiquette, fulfilled personal desires, and established a legacy that would last for generations to come. This article dives into the 20 defining events that marked Princess Anne's position in this historic changeover. It reveals the depth of her friendship with the Queen, as well as the lasting influence that her actions had on the situation. 1. A private farewell in the quiet halls of Balmoral, where the only witness was there. On the day when she took her last breath at Balmoral Castle on September 8, 2022, Queen Elizabeth II was not attended by senior royals or aides. Rather, she was encircled by her daughter, Princess Anne. This conscious decision, which was described by the Princess Royal herself in later interviews, was a change from centuries of custom in which monarchs were often joined by courtiers and medics in their end-of-life moments. The Queen's choice to invite just Princess Anne to the event highlighted the special bond that exists between the two of them. It was a secret goodbye that permitted the Queen to pass away with the consolation of a daughter who had been by her side through decades of successes and trials. Biographers have described this private farewell as a friendship that was formed through shared duty and quiet mutual respect. In a subsequent statement, Princess Anne expressed her awe and gratitude for the experience, describing it as a privilege I will carry with me always. Even though it was extremely personal, this gesture held significant symbolic weight. It indicated a move toward favoring familial connection above ceremonial formality, a motif that would reverberate throughout the whole of the Queen's goodbye. The general people, who were used to the majesty of the monarchy, took comfort in the humanity of this gesture, which served as a reminder that the Windsors were at their heart a family. 2. The journey of dignity, escorting the coffin of the Queen from Scotland to the United Kingdom. Beyond the time of her passing, Princess Anne had a long and important role. The responsibility of escorting her mother's coffin on its mournful trip from Balmoral to London was one of the most heartfelt responsibilities she had. This was not only a ceremonial requirement, rather it was a conscious request made by the Queen, which reflected her faith in her daughter's capacity to negotiate both the logistical precision and the emotional gravity of the situation. Princess Anne was a lonely figure in a black veil as she went with the casket as the hearse left the Scottish Highlands. Her serenity was a reflection of the nation's collective sadness as she journeyed behind the coffin. It was a tour that acknowledged the Queen's great connection to Scotland, a nation that she valued as her sanctuary. The journey was steeped in history while also being tinged with personal importance. There was an instant and significant response from the public. Onlookers who were lined the path hailed the spectacle as a testament to the Queen's love for her people and her family's unwavering strength. For Princess Anne, the deed was a continuation of a career of service, with the characteristics of being practical, unostentatious, and based in duty. 3. The Princess Anne and the Break from Tradition, a historic vigil by Princess Anne. When Princess Anne joined her brothers, Charles Andrew and Edward, in a circle of somber sadness in Westminster Hall, the Vigil of the Princes, a ritual that has been practiced for centuries and in which the children of the monarch keep vigil over the coffin, took on a new significance. The Queen's decision to put her only daughter in the line of succession was a watershed event that demonstrated her forward-thinking vision for the monarchy. Traditionally, male heirs have been the only ones allowed to inherit. It was with the same unwavering determination that had characterized her public work that Princess Anne stood there, dressed in her ceremonial attire. Both an homage to her mother's conviction in equality and a reflection of her own pioneering career as an equestrian, Olympian charity champion, and royal diplomat, her attendance was a representation of both of these things. A royal historian by the name of Dr. Anna Whitcomb made the observation that this was never about gender. It was about recognizing Princess Anne's unique role as a bridge between tradition and modernity, a role that the Queen trusted her to fulfill, said the Queen. 4. The curtsy is a gesture that conveys both reverence and grief. Princess Anne's profound curtsy before her mother's coffin at Holyrood Palace is one of the pictures that will remain in people's minds for a long time after the mourning period has ended. Her feelings of personal grief and respect for the institution that her mother exemplified were crystallized in this simple but significant gesture, which she carried out without any fanfare or directions. This scene was unplanned and unrehearsed in contrast to the rituals that followed, which were heavily staged. The audience was reminded that the monarchy's majesty was supported by very human feelings when the cameras filmed her humbling herself in mute devotion to the Queen. In the story that the Times provided, the author said that it was a gesture that transcended protocol. A daughter who is grieving the loss of her mother, not a princess paying tribute to a queen. 5. Reassuring the Queen in her final days with words of comfort from the people. Not only was Queen Elizabeth physically weak in the weeks leading up to her death, but she also maintained a sharp mental state. In order to convey confidence over the future of the monarchy, Princess Anne drew upon her decades of experience as a mother and grandmother. Insiders claim that she brought to the Queen's attention the indelible mark she had left on the Commonwealth and the lasting legacy she had left behind over her 70-year reign. Because of these chats, which were characterized by sincerity and love, the Queen was able to contemplate her accomplishments without experiencing any concern. There was a royal biographer named Robert Lacey who made the observation that Anne recognized her mother's need for both comfort and honesty. As the member of the family who was most qualified to negotiate that delicate balance, she was the one. 6. The reassurance of a pragmatic approach to calming Scotland. The logistical issues that arose as a result of the demise of the Queen in Scotland included the transportation of the casket and the management of public tributes. Princess Anne, who is known for her pragmatic nature, promptly addressed her mother's worries and made certain that every aspect of the procession, including the route of the procession and the participation of Scottish authorities, was handled with special attention. She made it possible for the Queen to concentrate on her memories rather than the complexity of her goodbye thanks to her efforts. A top royal staffer said that Anne's ability to handle both the emotional and practical sides of this time was outstanding. Anne's ability to manage both. During the closing days of her life, she bestowed the gift of peace to the Queen. 7. The unwavering presence, continuing to remain at Balmoral. Princess Anne was to stay at the Queen's side throughout the last days of her life, since the Queen made a request that was quite personal to her. This desire was granted without any hesitation by the Princess Royal, who had spent decades juggling her own royal responsibilities with a reputation for efficiency. Not only did her presence provide a sense of comfort, but it also ensured continuity. In order to guarantee that the Queen's last hours were filled with love and respect, Princess Anne took measures to protect her mother from the maelstrom of media conjecture and procedure. A friend of the family said, "This was not about being a royal, it was about being a daughter." The space that Anne provided for her mother to say goodbye on her own terms was invaluable. 8. Concerning the management of the transition, confidential messages, and important tasks. Princess Anne was given the responsibility of managing the private aspects of the Queen's changeover, which was one of the final actions that the Queen took. Among them were the completion of personal letters to members of the family, the coordination of the burial liturgy with the Archbishop of Canterbury, and the guarantee that sensitive family concerns were handled in a discreet manner while maintaining confidentiality. Because of her fastidious disposition, Princess Anne was the perfect person to take care of these responsibilities. "She is the problem solver for the royal family," claimed a former staffer to the royal family. As the saying goes, if you need something done quietly and correctly, you go to Anne. Her efforts behind the scenes facilitated a smooth transition for King Charles and the rest of the royal family, which allowed them to concentrate on their responsibilities in public. 9. In the interest of preserving the charitable vision of the Queen championing legacy, Princess Anne was asked to continue her work for rural areas, animal conservation, and equestrian sports, which were all topics that she had championed during her reign. This was one of the Queen's last requests. Since then, Princess Anne, who was already a fervent supporter of these causes, has increased the amount of work she has put out. During the Royal Agricultural Society exhibition in 2023, she underlined the significance of sustaining the connections my mother cherished. This devotion guarantees that the Queen's legacy goes beyond ceremonial milestones and into influence that is concrete and long-lasting. 10. The Queen's farewell to the nation. Putting together a final message. During the last public message that her mother sent, which was a letter that was read by King Charles and conveyed thanks to the country and the Commonwealth, Princess Anne had a significant role in drafting the message. With the help of her profound familiarity with the Queen's voice, Anne made certain that the message struck a balance between humility and determination. All throughout the world, people were moved by the message, which culminated with the Queen's famous promise from 1947, "to serve you for the rest of my life." A communications specialist by the name of Dr. Emily Hart said that the event was a masterclass in emotional intelligence. Anne was able to capture the essence of her mother, who was a leader who regarded service as a sacred duty. 11. Safeguarding confidentiality. While keeping the Queen's last hours secret. As the Queen's health continued to deteriorate, she voiced her worries with the intrusion of the media. For the purpose of protecting her mother's privacy, Princess Anne, in collaboration with top advisors, devised stringent regulations. These measures included restricting staff access to Balmoral and handling questions from the press. Anne's diplomatic aptitude was underlined by the delicate balancing act that she performed, which involves maintaining the dignity of the Queen while still keeping the public informed. According to a representative for the palace, she understood that respect for the individual and transparency for the nation were not mutually exclusive. 12. Providing support to King Charles in order to guide the new reign. To provide assistance to her brother Charles during his early reign was the Queen's last request to Princess Anne, and it was possibly the most forward-looking of all the requests. The Queen, who was aware of the difficulties associated with leadership, tried to maintain stability by using Anne's many years of experience and her straightforward attitude. Since then, Princess Anne has taken on extra patronages and public engagements, which has enabled Charles to have less work to do. In a recent interview, royal analyst Katie Nichols said that she is the steady hand the monarchy needs right now. Rather than pursuing the limelight, Anne is working to ensure that the institution will continue to exist. 13. Paying homage to Balmoral, a celebration of a home that is loved. A very particular place in her heart was reserved for Balmoral Castle, which was the location where the Queen spent her last days. This legacy was honored by Princess Anne via the organization of tributes at the estate, which included a public vigil and the presentation of floral tributes from visitors from Scotland. It was through her efforts that the monarchy demonstrated its gratitude for Scotland's role in the life of the Queen, so building connections with a people that is often hesitant about the crown. While Anne was touring the estate, she made the statement that Balmoral was more than just a residence, it was her sanctuary. It was important to us to respect that connection. 14. Escorting the body of the Queen to London is referred to as the Flight of Recognition, the time when Princess Anne personally accompanied her mother's coffin on its trip from Aberdeen to London was one of the most emotionally charged events in the changeover between the two countries. While this action was performed out of a sense of responsibility, it was also extremely personal since it was a daughter making sure that her mother's last voyage was treated with care. There are photographs that became symbols of Anne's unwavering love. These photographs show her with her head lowered as the casket was put aboard the RAF aircraft. Once again, the audience was captivated by her unassuming power via her actions. 15. A representation of stability, taking the lead despite loss. During the days that followed the passing of the Queen Princess, Anne eventually became the emotional anchor for the royal family. Both her family and the country were soothed by her unruffled manner and her ability to lead with decisiveness. A courtier was quoted as saying, "She is the person you must turn to in a crisis." This philosophy, which was developed over the course of many decades, distinguished Anne as the appropriate person to steer the monarchy through the most significant shift it has seen in 7 decades. Anne does not seek praise, she just gets things done. 16. Affecting the funeral with a sense of intimacy through personal touches. In addition to being a state-sponsored ceremony, the burial of the Queen was also a profoundly personal expression of her life. Princess Anne made sure that this was the case by including songs that were her mother's favorites, flower arrangements from Balmoral, and a quiet period of contemplation for the family. The event was converted into a celebration of the Queen's humanity as a result of these particular arrangements. The eventual explanation that Anne provided was that we wanted to show the world the woman behind the crown. 17. Restoring royal relationships, while placing an emphasis on unity. Moreover, the death of the Queen put the dynamics of the royal family to the test. Within the context of the relationship between King Charles and Prince Harry, Princess Anne served as a mediator by using her power and her pragmatic approach. It was because of her efforts that the family was able to show a unified front, which is an essential component in preserving public support. Anne is aware that the strength of the monarchy is derived from its cohesiveness, claimed a member of the family's inner circle. 18. An assurance made by a daughter in their final conversation. During their farewell conversation, the Queen discussed the significance of service to others as well as the work that she has done during her life. It is said that she communicated to her daughter the need of ensuring the family remains committed to duty. During this particular moment, Princess Anne had a sense of both culmination and a summons to action. It was later that she made a pledge to herself, "I will honor this promise for the rest of my life." 19. Balmoral. A focal point of mourning is where the leadership is. Following the passing of the Queen, Balmoral started to become a place of pilgrimage. By presiding over the tributes and extending a warm welcome to mourners, Princess Anne made certain that the estate reflected the memory of her mother. Throughout her reign, the Queen made maintaining a strong link to Scotland a priority, and her leadership in that area helped to strengthen that bond. 20. An open and honest tribute to her mother who shared her wisdom. An emotional tribute was delivered by Princess Anne, in which she offered the Queen's thoughts on the qualities of leadership, humility, and service. These comforting insights, which were derived from private talks, were provided to millions of people. This is what Anne had to say about her teacher. She taught us that kindness and resilience are the foundations of strength, not in the monuments that she left behind, but in the people whose lives she changed. This is the conclusion, the trust of the Queen, the legacy of the princess. The role that Princess Anne played in the closing days of Queen Elizabeth II's life was more than just a sequence of responsibilities. It was a demonstration of a mother's trust in her daughter and a daughter's unflinching dedication to her family and country. By bridging the gap between the past and the future via actions that were both majestic and personal, she ensured the longevity of the monarchy while simultaneously respecting its human heart. The Queen's decision to entrust Princess Anne with her most precious intentions will not be remembered as a footnote in history, but rather as a defining chapter in the tale of a contemporary monarchy that is steeped in tradition, compassion, and quiet strength. This choice will be remembered as King Charles's reign develops. Regarding the role that Princess Anne played in this momentous changeover, what are your thoughts? In the comments section below, please share your ideas.